Perimenopause symptoms can start much earlier than many doctors will recognise or even acknowledge. And when you go looking for support, it can feel confusing, frustrating. It can leave you feeling helpless. In this video, I'll be talking about what can actually be happening in your body during menopause and potential ADHD, and why things can start to feel overwhelming in a way that doesn't really make sense at first, and what can begin to help when you start working with your nervous system. Perimenopause doesn't come at a quiet time of life, does it? It's often happening when you're juggling work, children, responsibilities, expectations, the kind of load that even on its own would challenge anyone's mental health. If you also have ADHD, or you're starting to suspect that you might do, everything can really get amplified. Your emotions feel bigger, your overwhelm hits faster than it ever has before, and your capacity just feels like it's shrinking. At some point, you might find yourself quietly asking, what's happening to me? You're not broken, and you're not failing, and you are definitely not alone in this. What you're experiencing actually makes a lot of sense. And when you understand what's happening inside your body, it helps. This isn't just hormones, and it isn't just ADHD. It's also your nervous system. During menopause, your system becomes more sensitive, more reactive, and less buffered, which I'm sure you've already felt by now. If you have ADHD, your nervous system was already likely working harder to begin with. So what you're feeling, it's not random. It's a system that's overwhelmed and trying to protect you the only way that it actually knows how. This is where somatic work can come in. Not as another thing to do on your list, but as a way to come back to a relationship with your body. A way to help your system feel more safe without forcing or pushing or fixing yourself. Because when your body feels more safe, everything begins to shift gently. Your emotions, they gradually become more manageable, and your overwhelm softens. Your capacity will slowly start to return. This is something I had to learn the hard way. I was the fittest and healthiest I have ever been when I hit perimenopause. HRT didn't agree with me, so lifestyle is kind of the next natural place that you look at. However, it struck me down in such a way that my joints were aching and my muscles really hurt. And bearing in mind, this is the kind of hurt that I was actually used to because I'd exercised my whole life, but this was just another level. I was so exhausted, and despite having eaten a whole food diet for quite a while when perimenopause hit me, none of these things were helping me feel better. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm advocating that you shouldn't do these things. You absolutely should start with food and exercise to help nourish and heal your body. However, I got to a stage where I had to start listening to my body differently because those things just didn't work. What I then started to look into and what I found changed everything for me. I needed something that wasn't going to be another thing to do or another thing to add to my list. And when I started looking into somatic and nervous system work, I found exactly that. I realised that underneath the exhaustion and the pain and the emotional intensity, there was actually a nervous system that was just trying really hard to adapt. It was trying to keep up with everything, and it was trying to hold everything together and trying to protect me. And once I began to understand that, I stopped seeing my symptoms as something wrong and started seeing them as something that was happening to me and not against me. And what I mean by that is that when your nervous system is overwhelmed, even the right things can feel like they're not working, because the system itself is just already overloaded. It doesn't want any more. So the shift becomes about, or it becomes less about rather, what else do I need to do? And it becomes more about, how do I help my system feel even just the slightest bit more safe right now? And this is where things like somatic awareness comes in, not as a technique and not as something to do perfectly, but as a way of starting to listen differently to what your body has been trying to say all along. Part of somatics are micro practices. They're literally 30 to 60 seconds long. Sometimes it can be breathing, other times it might be pushing hard up against a wall if you're angry, or gently rocking if you're sad. If this is actually resonating with you, I have loads of 60-second short videos on here. I'll pop the link for you in the comments. I've got a 21-day reset that you can just look at. Like I said, they're 30 to 60 seconds. They're small, but they're mighty. And gradually over time, they will help you show your nervous system that it's safe. When you actually start to do this, your capacity to feel uncomfortable emotions increases. And what I mean by that is that you'll still feel these emotions, but then you can also let them flow through you and come back to calm. As a mum of 3, leading a busy life, somatic and nervous system changed my life, so much so that I became a coach in it. Your physical and emotional pain is real, and living it is incredibly hard. I've covered it today as a generalised topic, but I will also be uploading on things like the unbelievable rage that perimenopause can bring, the memory loss that can make us feel really stupid. And I think also how we can lose ourselves to menopause. Because let's face it, aching, being incredibly moody, memory loss, which are only a small amount amongst so many symptoms, don't exactly validate us in who we are. Somatic and nervous system work can help with all of these things, and I'll be delving in a little deeper in up and coming videos for you. I hope this has helped you just a little bit anyway. So be kind to yourself.